Stevie, this is I feel like an imposter.
Do you?
Well, I feel like I'm in your studio.
It's like an away game, isn't it?
It's an away. It's an away game. Yeah, I'm in your studio recording my podcast to you with Mantality logo. But I'm so happy.
Should we take that down?
No, please keep it up. I love it. I think it's an amazing logo.
Funky,
so people that get to see this on the video, the Mantality logo, I think it's a really cool logo. But no, thanks for doing this. I mean, we had probably been talking over a while to get this one locked in, and just the way the world works, I'm up in the area and take a train over to come get over here. But I really appreciate it, and the conversations we already had are amazing. And I'm looking forward to this episode. Yeah, so let's start. I think for you, perhaps at the ending, really, and I guess it's a bit of a strange place to start, but for you, your career ended through concussions, one too many, but let's just talk about what you perhaps have to go through right now, where you're at with your injury, and how it happened, and that whole experience that you went through.
Yeah, so I'm at minute, mate. I'm about over 1.5 years into persistent post-concussion syndrome. So I'm living with like daily migraines, headaches, issues with memory, concentration's really bad, really bad, and then just like dizziness, vertigo, and all that sort of stuff. I've been living with that for over 1.5 years, and I'm praying it goes away. And I'm sort of in the midst of persisting with life, managing around the symptoms. You know, like this conversation now, I'm always, when I'm going into it, like, oh, is this going to ruin me? You know, is this going to like set something off? So obviously I've been saying, let's turn the lights off, you know, but conversation like this, they make my life worth living, if that makes sense. It's what I enjoy. It's what I know that makes me feel good. So I'm on the boundary of just making sure my symptoms don't blow up too much, but also to enjoy life and live with my purpose. And I guess, you know, the injuries that have come, I've had a load of concussions. I've had about 10 diagnosed, but I've probably had, I don't know, I mean, over the course of training and the games that you play, I've probably had about 100 that you don't even class as concussion, do you know? Right. That's what sort of thinking back about my career, and even when I was a young lad. So I've knocked my head around a lot. My brain's a bit flipping injured and battered. So yeah, it's living with that now, and transitioning into a new role and a life which at the minute is I'm managing symptoms, but also, you know, doing very similar stuff to yourself.
I had Kieran Lowe on the podcast who played for Scotland Rugby Union. Yeah. And Kieran, he talked heavily about concussions, brain injuries that rugby players sustain. Did you ever feel like there's more that could have been done to prevent it, or is there a good system in place now for preventing concussion?
Yeah, mate, there's loads more that we can do. I mean, in terms of research, you know, we know that it's not good for us, and we've always had an idea that it's not good for us, but we don't spell it out. But there was just recently a research study which I think was pretty scary, or truth scary sometimes, isn't it, I guess. But you know, it was a Welsh team, rugby union team, and they'd done a study over the course of the year measuring blood flow to the brain and cognitive sort of ability and memory and stuff. And despite only 6 or 7 concussions that year, everyone had gone down. You know, and this is the course over a year. Everyone had gone down in brain performance, and so you see that, and it's like, well, you know, we know that drinking's bad for us. We know that smoking's bad for us. So a lot of us strive not to do it all the time. So if we want to play rugby and we want to continue having contact sport, and there's got to be a balance. You know, there's got to be a balance. I've had that many concussions and knocks in training, and you know, I'd make 50 odd tackles in a game on a weekend on a Friday night, and then on a Monday I'd be doing 30, 40 more in the ruck room, like, because you've got a tough game coming up at the weekend, and you need to be in that mindset to be tough and to not let anyone past you and to go through contact. So yeah, you have to go through these experiences where you find out that you can deal with it and be tough in life and resilient. So we still need an element of that because it's a tough game, but it's like it's the bleeding over into, you know, people struggling with it.
That's what I was going to say. There must be like a spectrum. So there's a spectrum for when you are talking about trying to prevent something and trying to manage the athlete, but for a sport that is so physical and you just need to be hardened to the hits, that is a really tough line to be balancing on, because yes, there's two big ends to that spectrum, like being too easy on the let's say kids, for kids who are coming up, and actually maybe being too hard on them and throwing them into stuff that they're not physically ready for, nor their brain is capable of taking those hits over time. That's a really big challenge, I imagine, for amateur teams, pro teams to find that balance. I'd heard of things like they were putting in chips into scrum caps,
gum shields.
Gum shields. That's it. The gum shield detection. That's actually something that's going on.
They're sort of measuring the G-force for the knocks, that what you take, and it's another element of research, I guess. So I think they'll get to a place where they understand the knocks that are causing concussions, but I don't know how much it's going to be able to determine how many sessions that we do, and the post-concussive stuff. Post-concussive, that's another thing that I get when my mouth gets a bit slower sometimes. But the post-concussive stuff, that's just part of the game, you know. That's just like the little knocks, the little jerks of your head. So when I retired, I said, like, we don't want another generation of players that are guinea pigs. We need to put stuff in place now. I've seen in rugby league that they're really coming down on high tackles, which is good. You know, high tackles have never been allowed, but we're just actually doing something about it now. But in terms of time for contact training and limited sessions, I'm not seeing anything official yet. But yeah, mate, for sure it's about balance if we want to maintain the game, and if we have people that have enough autonomy to make the decision that they'll risk their brain health to play a game, then we need to negate that risk as much as possible. I don't think we've done any efforts to negate it over the years.
And just for the sake of talking about your own personal injury, like you've just mentioned, we've turned the lights down in here because that it gives you migraines throughout the podcast. That's right. Did your rehab process of coming back, I've seen videos of you doing these insanely unique
hardcore
drills. I think is the best way. I don't know what you call them, but things like you walking backwards, shaking your head from side to side. Can you just talk about like what that's doing and why you have to do it? Yeah,
so this is good to go into because I think the knowledge on concussion is really sort of limited. But when I had gone to see a specialist, I'd heard that I had a concussion or types of concussion that I'd never heard about before. One was a migrainous concussion, so that means that my brain's just in a cycle of migraines, and I'm like, well, why? What's happened? And they're like, that's just what's happening, and it's also a vestibular concussion, so inner ear. So both my inner ears are defunct, basically. So when it comes to proprioception and measuring where I am in the world and walking straight, and they're off, so it puts so much pressure on my visual system. That's why I've always got to wear a baseball cap, because if not, I'm dizzy and I get vertigo because there's too much stimulus going on that my vision can't deal with because my inner ears are off. So inner ears are for balance and spatial awareness and coordination, all that sort of stuff. So I've had the test. This funny test, mate. I went down and had the test, and I'm still thinking, what's going on here? Like, why am I not right? And the tests were good because they did all these funny tests, mate. And I'm stood on this like balance board opposite a screen that's got like white white clouds over blue sky, and that moves, but also the balance board moves. I mean, I was nearly falling over. I mean, I think it's testing for anyone that the sort of balance board's moving and the thing's staying the same, so you're all right. But when that moves, it just like puts you into another world of like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. These funny tests where I lie down on a bed, and they put warm water in my ear, and it's like basically your eye is meant to look at the ceiling, and basically my eyes just started losing control basically because of that. So through these tests, through these hearing tests, through these vision tests, balance tests, you know, that's where they sort of understood that I had vestibular concussion, inner ear. So that's what I'm struggling with, and it's like a chicken and egg. I get migraines, I get dizzy, I get a bit nauseous, and I get a bit like unbalanced, but I've got the vestibular issue, which causes migraines too. So I'm in a bit of a cycle, really. That's what it looks like for me.
It's what you have to do on a daily basis. Like, what's a morning routine looking like for Stevie?
So, I mean, I made meditation a non-negotiable now. I must get it in the day. I average of 20 minutes. But usually, when I haven't got too bad migraines, when they're not like keeping me out of doing anything, I'll be walking for 30 seconds and moving my head up and down, which is trying to train my inner ear again to sort of deal with head movement. Because if I'm walking and looking around, that's when I go a bit skew. Doing it side to side, moving my head side to side pretty quick. I went through a phase where I'm like bending down quickly and getting back up to try and get rid of the vertigo doing that. So there's all these different exercises which is trying to train my inner ear again to work properly. But it's hard because when I've got migraines, I can't do it, which is a lot of the time. Yeah. Because it'll make your migraine worse. And sometimes those exercises trigger migraines themselves. So you can see the predicament I'm in.
Funny enough, I've actually experienced vertigo before, and I had it during my career. And I remember it was literally like my second ever, I was lined up to play my second ever pro match, and I woke up one morning, room is spinning. Yeah. I was sick, nauseous, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And they tested, and I got to the game, and obviously with cricket, it's not contact or anything. So I was like running in, bowling, fine. I'm like, pretty sure I'm good in it. Go. Coach goes, can you go and just do a high ball catch? So he whacks this ball up in the air, look up, catch it, and then I go to throw it, and I nearly throw it on my big toe. Like, I just launched this thing straight into the floor right in front of me, and it was because the world was upside down. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm not good to go for this game. And you're right, I had to go through the Epley's manoeuvre for vertigo. Yeah. And you're right, the next day or that day, it's worse. And it's like, this has made me feel, well, oh no, I'm going down. The next day, gone. And it's nowhere near level. I mean, this sort of stuff that you're going through is just another level. And is there something, if you'd known as a youngster, this sort of thing, do you think there's enough education in knowing? No,
there's definitely not enough education. You know, I speak to fellas all the time, ex-players, that they won't say it publicly, but they're struggling with migraine and stuff. You know, they're struggling with memory, and I think, mate, I just think I take things to the limits, mate. I just think, you know, just the person I am, or the person that I've been helped to be, conditioned to be, I just take everything to the limit, you know, like on a field playing with a bust knee or bust anything, shoulder, calf, whatever, like I'd go to the depths, you know. And I think that's why I sort of, despite having this now, that's why I keep going. Do you know what I mean? I keep going, having these conversations, and the direction that I'm going in at the minute is to try and tell people what's going on, just tell people about my experience and let them understand what an experience is that's not what everyone wants it to be. You know, what everyone thinks the script is. So I take that to its limit, and I think also with the mental health stuff, it just sits alongside it. So I'm lucky to have that, because it can be a horror show. Do you know what I mean? At times we made.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of where I'm at the minute. And if I'm going to do it, it looks like I have to do it with flipping every symptom, every symptom on the sun, you know. So
yeah, I mean, my first ever knowledge or understanding of what concussion really looked like was the Will Smith film, Concussion.
Scary.
And that Dr. Amalu's work is a very scary, and that story is so scary as to what the NFL were doing and what is going on. And CTE again is just the big word and the big elephant in the room when that comes to that. But yeah, I just, my sport has got concussions in it now, and they're really hot on it, but it's like an indirect thing. So the ball's striking you on the head and they manage it, but not to the extent in rugby. And you spoke about how your upbringing, you were brought up to be like that. So where did it start for you? Like, what was your introduction to rugby?
Yeah, mate, I was like 6 years old. I remember being at childminders. My mum and dad weren't massively into rugby, but I was at childminders, and this lad next door who were playing with a rugby ball, and I ended up going down to the amateur club in Morley with him. And mate, it's just like, I guess they would just know looking back after that. Just like as soon as I'd done it, as soon as I played it, I was like, wow, what is this? And you just know when you're natural at something.
Yeah.
And I just carried on from there. Going up through the ranks in sort of the amateur world, and then I got signed on a scholarship at 12 at Leeds Rhinos. So I've been there for a long time. So I signed on that scholarship for 12. Sort of played for England and stuff when I was younger, and then got the full-time contract at 16. And then went from there, mate. To be honest, like, you know, so many good memories of when I was younger and when I was playing and what it meant to me, and just the experience that you can have through rugby. Just like these moments when I was younger and I was playing. And I think we'll probably talk about the artillery of what you can do with your mind and for performance a little bit later on, but they got to a point where we were struggling as a team, and I had to sit down and just sort of think, why do I play? You know, why am I unique to play the game? Why do people need it? Why do I need it? And I can remember thinking about why I break the line or why I wanted to break the line. And I can just remember when I was younger, like the experiences.
Can you explain what that means, though? That
break the line?
Yeah.
Sorry, just cutting through a defensive line. If
right,
you've got the ball,
so you get the breakaway. Yes.
So you break through, and just touching those contact points from when you're younger and what it meant for you. And I can remember, you know, thinking, why do I want to break the line? You know, what does it mean to me? And you search back into those contact points, and you just remember like the feeling that it was when you bust through a line, and you could hear people shout on the sideline. You could even hear my mum, me and my dad, and the freedom that it gives you. You know, like that elevated sense of like, I don't know, presence. You can put all the words onto it that you want, but it was just that sort of like feeling of euphoria that I got. So so many memories of that, mate, and that was just like every weekend. I used to go into school and I'd be like thinking about those moments, thinking about doing them again, and training and visualising all the time. I'm looking at the maths board, and just, I think that's why I have to work so hard to be present, you know, because I just like this is what I want to do. And, you know, went through those younger days. Obviously got into the scholarship and learned a load of lessons, you know, 12 and beyond, about confidence and failure, and then I went, you know, sort of had a meteoric rise at 18 years old, where I'd play at a Challenge Cup final at Wembley at 18 at standoff and one of the most important positions, and we'd lose that one, but then we'd win at Old Trafford at grand final back end of that year. World Club Challenge the year after that, you know, so it was like everything that I dreamed of, that linear upward line that you see, you know, that were happening, and it was going so well.
Did you feel sort of a sense of being untouchable?
Yeah, that's a good question. That, I think in those moments when I played, when you score a try and when you do something, like you would feel untouchable, and you'd feel like you know, I always focused on being level-headed when I was younger and never letting myself run away on myself. But yeah, I think those pockets of moments where you would run through and you score a try from 80, 90 metres out, you go past the fullback and score, you know, especially when you're getting into the Rhinos, sort of 16s, 18s, 20s, and you're like, here we go, you know. And it carried on, and obviously I managed to play for the first team, play those games, and always a healthy self-doubt in and around the games before. I never sort of touched on the fact that it'd be easy, and my mentality going into games was I'd be getting ready to go for war, you know. Like, I don't know what it was like in other players' heads, but every game I'd be ready to like not show any weakness whatsoever, not have any soft tackle whatsoever, and like just that'd be like the rehearsal every game, getting ready for like almost like the biggest thing ever, you know. Which probably came from a few games where I didn't put everything into one tackle and I'd miss it, and I'd obsess over it, and I'd criticise myself over it. So yeah, that nature of mind that I had, it just fell into that, and it helped me so much. But also, you know, when you've got that nature of mind when you're not playing, and you've got no guidance or understanding around it, that's when it can cause issues, I guess.
You're talking about now?
I think just generally
Just
like
outside of the sport.
Outside of the sport, I think Johnny Wilkinson talks about it a lot, and you know, that sort of mentality which you have, which allows you to zone in so much on a performance, and you think that you've got to suffer for that performance, and you're sacrificing your happiness, sacrificed happiness so many times. Do you know? And I think that probably goes into the melting pot to make it as a professional sportsman. But I think there's a lot of unnecessary suffering that you do alongside it too.
There's a discussion I had recently as well about, for people that want to make it at that excellence level, there are non-negotiables. Like Denny Solomona from Sale. In our conversation, we spoke about like sacrifices that he had to make, and you do, like, if you didn't, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and it is the point. It is that old adage, like, if it's worthwhile doing, it's going to suck, and there's going to be things that are non-negotiables that need to be put aside, because that's the difference between you and everyone else.
Yeah.
And I take pride in that now.
Yeah.
I in my life, I take pride in the fact that if I'm doing something differently, if I'm seen to be seen as someone different, I'm on the right track, because I know I'm not doing things the way other people are doing them. And I think that is very worthwhile knowing for a young person that might be listening, that if you're doing things and trying to fit in and you may be, I don't know, it could be you might have a different experience. It might be going out with your mates and partying, and you're actually training and doing things. That's the difference it's going to make. And that little sacrifice, yes, you may have to rebuild some bridges later on in life, but that's the sacrifice you're making for this thing that you are visualizing, you love, you're obsessing over, you love. And I'm interested to know what your first sort of negative experience would have been that you had. You sort of touched on self-doubt. So all of that meteoric rise that you were having, and being essentially felt like being, in a word, untouchable. Was there a moment where you hit like a negative experience and you were like, oh, I am maybe a little bit more human than I think?
Yeah, I think it were around when I was 19, late 19. I'd done my shoulder, dislocated my shoulder and damaged all the nerves down it in like 2013, and that was like the year after that rise that we're talking about. So I was out for a while with that, and you know, I just got on with it with my first big injury or whatever, and I'm going to be out of the game, but I'm going to be back, you know. But I got back playing, and I've always had issues with my shoulder in terms of pain, and being able to put the size on because of that pain, and being inhibited to do anything serious in the gym a lot of the time, and my form was really poor that time. I was in and out of the team compared to being like definitely playing or whatever. And yeah, that were a rough year. I didn't really have any understanding about my values or anything like that. And I wasn't winning the fight that I'd always been winning. I was always sort of in that fight to be the best and to ride that wave that I knew I could ride if I was playing well and all that. And I was a bit lost as what to do. And it wasn't easy in terms of being in and out of the team. And it's not like a sit back and chill out if you're out of the team. It was an environment where if you're not in the team, what you're doing? It was like a real test. The one I'm grateful for, but I definitely sort of felt depressed and didn't really know how to attack it from that point. And then I think without doing the work, I just relied on being able to put the size on again. Well, actually put the size on that would help me, and get back to the team and do stuff from there. Everything external then was good, but I didn't do any of the work internally, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Is that something that you think you'd learned later on, whether it was still in your career or now, or that you've recognised as something you've probably learned from that experience?
Yeah, definitely. I got to 21 years old that year after 2015, put the size on, playing every week, and we were on course for a treble that year. We just won the Challenge Cup, which was a trophy that the year before, when we'd won it, I'd not been picked for. So I'd won the Challenge Cup and sort of felt strong to do that. I felt like, this is it, here we go. And then we had a game away at Huddersfield, it was on the day of my nana's funeral, actually.
Wow.
So we went over the morning of that funeral, of that game for the League Leaders Shield. That was going to be the second trophy of the three. And my nana's funeral that day, and went over there that morning, obviously gone through the emotions, and then not thinking anything of it, just thought, coming over to she were over in Salford, that funeral, coming back over to Huddersfield, the other side of the Pennines, and I can remember we were all really sort of out on the feet, like as a team. We'd just won at Wembley, and you always have a Wembley hangover, whether you win or you lose. It's like flipping, everyone's just like vessels, And I remember being in change rooms, and I'm like, I had another why that game because I wanted to do it for my nana, and I'd wrote the script about what I was going to do and how well I was going to play, and I was really trying to get the lads up for the game because we needed to win it. It was like to win the league leaders, and everyone was just out on the feet. I can remember saying stuff like, right, we've got to put our bodies on the line for this one. We've got to do it. We've got to find something. Anyway, we went on to the game, and I'd scored within the first 4 or 5 minutes, and I was like flipping pumped, like up for it. We went throughout the full game, and we were ending up losing towards the back end, last 5 minutes. I managed to completely have my knee collapse beneath me. Like my ACL went, all the cartilage, everything just gone. It looked so innocuous as well. Wow. I can remember coming into the change rooms, and I was looking at my knee. It looked like it were inflatable, and I'm just like thinking, what do I do here? I'm just like, adversity for me is just like when things just go totally off script. I'm just like thinking, I've had all that's happened, the experience of not knowing what to do when you're injured and when you're coming back, and I've just put everything in, and this has happened. I'm thinking we're not going to win the game. Like, I'm just at a loss. And then I don't know if you've seen the highlights of it, but probably the most famous try in rugby league, where Ryan Hall's, the last seconds and dying seconds of the game, Danny Maguire's chipped the ball over the top, and Ryan Hall streams down the touchline, picks the ball up, and he's sprinting to win the game, which is going to win us the second trophy and put us in position for the grand final. I'm alone. I'm in the change rooms on my own.
Oh wow.
I'm looking at my knee and I'm like, if you're talking about mixed up, like I didn't know what to feel, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Came out on crutches, lifting a trophy. Know I'm going to miss the grand final again. I'm just like, fuck, like,
yeah.
I was just, and for me that was like a defining moment as a 21-year-old that I knew I had to do something else. I just knew I had to do something else. And we're talking about, what the sort of sacrifices, the visualization, all these stuff that your mind has a potential for. I'm like, well, what does it have a potential for?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm looking at my knee, I'm going, I didn't do anything before, but there's a massive thing here which is I'm not thinking about, I'm not pursuing, I'm not doing anything about. And that was the start of a big discovery in terms of what our mind can do and why we should stop being fucking pussies at looking about it and talking about it. Do you know, like it's just an elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. And I just seen that growing up. I'm just like, why do we not do it? It's just like, we all think we're brave men and we're tough, but when it comes to the actual tough stuff, we don't do it.
That leans on to a quote that I heard the other day, which is about, obviously there's the phrase like, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
So much better just to say like, it's okay to do the work
yeah.
to be okay.
Saw that other day, yeah.
It's such a good saying, because you're right. Like the whole idea is that in sport, because now we're leading into the whole mindset, mental health discussion in sport, and that there's so many athletes that I've seen that will talk about it and be like mental health in sport.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, but there's only so many interviews we're going to get where people are going to talk about it.
Yeah.
But then actually talking about, tell me, and that's why this podcast is I'm so interested. It's like, what are you doing to fix, maintain, start that journey of looking after your mental health the same way you've been doing everything else, whether it's around your physical, your diet, everything else you're doing. What is it that you're doing? Or are you just merely trying to be a poster that's hoping,
an advocate,
an advocate, but actually not living it? So where was that? What from that experience that you had, which is an intense one? Where was your first point of call to try and jump on this journey? Was it you went to a person? Did you go and seek out whether it's a psychologist or did you go and do self-discovery? And when I mean self-discovery, I mean your own research and finding out.
Yeah. A bit of everything rolled up into one, actually. I took citalopram when I was 19, which is a medication for depression. And I was 22 years old. I was out for 12 months with my knee injury. And I'm like thinking, I'm finishing days at 10:30, 11 a.m. after coming in early doing rehab and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like looking at the ceiling. I'm on these physio beds just like continuously. I'm just like, what am I doing? I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just getting anxious, wondering what it is that I'm, not so much like being able to assign the thoughts to it now, but I was just questioning. I was searching for something. I was just like, what is it? I've had it. I've done what I've wanted to do, but I'm just like, got all this time and I'm not doing anything with it. There's more to what we can experience here. And a lot of it was anxiety as well. And I can remember going to the doctor. It's called Dr. John Power. It's a good name for a doctor.
Great
name. Great name,
John
mate.
Power.
And he's a top lad as well. He's a Scouser. So that adds to it. But I went up to him and I said, I feel anxious. I don't know what I'm doing here. I just basically just wanted to get on with my rehab and carry on, And he just said to me, have you heard of someone called Tim Ferriss?
Right, yeah.
Have you heard of the 4-hour work week? I'm like, fuck's he on about now? Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
this sounds like my journey.
Is it? Yeah.
I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. I'm just like, what's he on about here? Anyway, I read this book and it's a book that's aimed at helping people working a 9-to-5 sort of get free.
Automate your life.
Your life. Live a life that you want to live right now, basically. I'm reading it and basically loads of misconceptions that I'd been living life by, he was turning them on the head. and just showing you a different way to think about stuff. And I'm like, I couldn't put it down. Anyway, that rolled into something where I'm like reading this book and I'm investigating a new way of thinking, and I'm opening my mind up basically. And I'm very sort of open and vulnerable to anything that comes in. And I can remember having a conversation with someone about she was Laura Bartlett. She runs a magazine called House of Cocoa. And you know when you set your mind to something, just like we're talking about scoring those tries and rehearsing these tries, and it's basically setting something a bit more scientific than The Secret, but it's setting the reticular activating system at work.
Yeah.
So when you set something that you want to look for, this bundle of neurons, it's a bit of a nightclub bouncer. It decides what to let into your brain and what to keep out of your brain, basically.
Yeah, for people listening, that idea is similar to when people say like, "Oh, I saw a yellow Mini, now I see them all the time."
Exactly. Or I want to buy a white BMW, and now I see that car all the time.
I see it all the time.
Yeah, it's like you have the option to create your own reality, and we never get told that, but you have an option to set what you want to see in the world, which is basically your own reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not having a flipping clue about all this stuff anyway. I was doing it, and then I meet this girl called Laura Bartlett. She's great. She's runs a travel and sort of fashion magazine called House of Cocoa, and I met her at a Leeds Rhinos sort of function opening up Banyan Bar in Leeds City Centre. And I just started talking to her, chatting to her, and she's like, "Oh, I run an online magazine." I'm like, "What? How do you do that?" It's like, "Oh, she does it, publish magazine and stuff as well." I'm like, "How the hell do you do that?" And she's like, "Oh, I just do it. I just, do this, I do that, and I won't go into it all." But I'm like, that sounds absolutely class. And obviously I had time on my hands, and I'm like going through that, and then I'm looking at people that I know are struggling. They won't talk about mental health. They don't assess it. They don't address it. So I'm like, all right, I'll do an online magazine, but I'll do it differently, and I'll do it on mental health. And I wrote this article called "The Dark Side of Sport," which is talking about the journey of going to my nana's funeral, playing that game, having that injury, knowing I need to do something different, but I didn't know what to do different. I launched the magazine in the aid to discover what was different to do. And obviously launching that magazine without knowing, I'd thrown myself into an enormous journey of self-discovering myself, and basically discovering my mind, but also everyone's mind, or what we can do to better feel happy. And to be honest, mate, I was so in the mindset that success would bring me fulfillment.
Yeah.
It was to be more successful. It was I launched this magazine. I'm going to find out what helps us be successful. I'm going to find out, how we can be happy. And it was all in the pursuit of the same energy of thinking that I was telling you about before. This is the next mission. This is the next mission that I'm going to come across. And then, mate, as you go into it, you'll know it's a rabbit hole, and
many different directions to go. But you're doing that whilst you're playing.
Yeah. Well, I was injured for 12 months.
Yeah. So that's during your injury time.
Yeah.
You actually spent some time being fairly productive in that, because that's really easy for people to just go through the rehab process, sit on their laurels. But you had this bigger calling and discovery that you were going on. So then when you come out of the injury and you're back playing, did you feel a different person in all senses? Because then you mentioned in 2020 you became captain. And we'll talk about values and where that sort of links in. But did you feel what the work that you had done on your mentality, on your mindset, on your practices that you might have, did it impact your playing in a positive way?
Oh, 100%. And I was just after it. Do you know what I mean? I was just after it. I came back and played about 4 or 5 games at the end of that year. I went through another spell, to be honest, of real darkness. And then 2017, that sort of year was us as a team killing it. But we're always second best to another team, Castleford Tigers. And we kept getting spanked by them, but beating everyone else. But that year, mate, I just knew myself a lot better.
Yeah.
I just knew what worked for me. I was accepting more of who I was, feeling more comfortable about myself, and I was just playing really well on the field as well, you know, and wasn't trying to be anyone else, you know, like that sort of thing. And it got to 2017, and where the story follows on is that I playing a semi-final, similar game to 2015. I was like after it again, like same. I've not had any funeral before, but I was just like ready to play, you know, ready to go like that playoff style game, and ready to just go full throttle. And similar to before, scored a try 4 or 5 minutes in, and I was just on it, just flipping on it all game, and like the team were on it, you know, and you just know that you're on a different plane of consciousness than the other team. In terms of freeing yourself up so much to just do what you need to do and not worry about anything else, not worry about what it means, just do it, just be in the process. And then about 5 minutes before the end, we're winning, but my shoulder just dislocates again. That same shoulder that I'm just like, I couldn't get back up off the field. I felt so heavy. I felt like the world literally was on my back, and I couldn't get myself up. The doctors had to come and get me up, and I'm walking off the field, and this is a week before the grand final. I'm just like, again, I was at the bottom of the barrel, literally the bottom of the barrel. Couldn't get the shoulder back in for ages. Went to A&E, couldn't get it back in twice after they tried. Wow. So I was up all night for like 12 hours until they took me to theatre the next day to sort it out and put it back in. And I'm like gone home, and I'm like moping around. And I'm like, this is just like the worst thing ever. I was just sick of like being a victim, and just sick of feeling like that, do you know? And I remember that Saturday, I was like moping around, and my aunties had come over and stuff, as if it were like bring some like pork pies and sausage rolls and that, as if it were like a wake or something, someone had died. And I was still in that mode until Sunday evening, and I was just thinking about, again, it were those moments as a kid. I always played with sore shoulders when I was a kid. Ever since I was 16, there's just, for some reason, just something turned on where my shoulders were just always sore. And I can remember an anecdote when I was about 10 years old, 11, where I'd done my AC joint playing Bulldogs at school, and like the first time I ever had done anything like that. And then about 3 or 4 weeks later, I'd because we were playing Featherstone Lions for Cherwell Chiefs, I didn't want us to get beat us by as much. I thought, I'm going to play here. I put bubble wrap on my shoulder and put those big stag pads on, and went and played. And I came home and I was alright, and I can't remember doing it again. So I'm like sat there, and got teammates texting me saying they'll make tackles for me. Some texting me saying that, and I'm thinking, nah, you won't, you lazy bastard. You never normally do it. But then I'm just thinking, if there's going to be a game that I play when I've got a sore shoulder, it's going to be the grand final. Yeah. So made the decision that I'd play, set my mind to it. Went through that week, tested it out on the Friday, and I'm just like, right, I'm going to play and just see what happens. And we ended up winning the grand final. I played the full game, made the most tackles. And I'm like, you know, just coming back to your point of how different we are. I just felt clear. Do you know? I just felt like I knew why I was doing it. And a lot of my why was to keep pushing the message that there's more to life than us pretending to be macho and trying to be the blueprint of masculinity. If we dare to go beyond stigma and look at all that,
So when you started that journey for yourself and you saw the impact, when you became captain, you decided to then look at how we can do that as a team.
Yeah.
And how can we have an understanding of what our why is as a team and values? Can you talk us through that process that you took the team and the journey that you took the team on?
Yeah. So a lot of that is just, I guess it is opening your mind up a bit and opening up to each other. You know, first stage is waking up to the fact that you need to change and do something different. that something's not working. So we did that as a team. And I just remember saying to Rich Agar, the coach who'd come in, and we'd lost to Bradford Bulls in the cup, and we were just dire. Just Rich Agar had just come in, with the coach had been sacked before, Dave Ferner. We were just dire. I'd just seen it, I watched it, I'm just like, being a Leeds lad myself, and the journey I'd been on, I just saw a lot of players just playing like individuals and playing like they didn't know why they were there, and they didn't know what to expect of themselves, of each other. And there were no standard, there were no universal standard, there were no expectations. So in the team meeting, I remember Rich Agar asked me what I thought, and I sort of unloaded on that and just said, I think we really need to get together and just to speak to each other and understand what we're doing here. We've got that many players that have come in from Wigan, Warren, we've got players from PNG, we've got players from Tonga, we've got all these players that have come together, but there's not that thread of what we used to have, that everyone knows what to expect as a Leeds player and why we're here. So, you know, this is off the back of me understanding my own individual values and the process of that. I didn't really formally know what to do. I just knew intuitively, you know, like just thinking from my own experience, from when I struggled back in 19, when I had no understanding of what behaviours to take in the world that was me. I knew that we had to do that for the team. So it was just we did personality tests. So we put all the same personalities together in the room, and just went through a cycle of questions for everyone to discuss as a group, and then to put it up to me writing on the whiteboard. You know, and that was like, why are we here right now? You know, why are we in this position right now, and why do we want to change it? How are we going to change it, and what are we going to do? And from that, we formulated some values in which the team of that era, not any era before, not any era of what people think it should be, but the team of that era, how we'd operate as a team, as a set of individuals, and how we could stay accountable of it. And it was one of the proudest moments I've ever had, actually. I wasn't playing at that point, and the next game, after losing so many, the next game we went to Wakefield, and we played a good Wakefield team, and we were sort of underdogs for where we were, and it was pissing it down at one of those games. But like, what I saw on the field was just like blokes working for each other, and just like that strength and foundation and resolve that had not been there all year. And we beat them 10-0. And it's not a fancy score. It's not a massive score, but the nil's the important one, because there was that resolve all the way through the game, which we'd not had. I'm like, our priorities lie sometimes on, you know, being tough or trying to show that you're tough and proving that you're a man again and again and again. And it's like, sometimes it doesn't work, you know. Sometimes you need to go a bit deeper and open yourself up to each other as well.
Was there anything, because rugby is macho, like it's got that, but do you know the other thing, the word I always think about rugby is respect. Like, I always think respect's just there. Was there anything that came out of that whole process of the deep dive values as a team that surprised you? Like, I always find there is a value that surprised, because it's really easy to put things on a wall and say, like, we want to be respectful, we want to be honest, we want to be... But the next layer is living it. So what are the behaviours that are going to uphold that, and who's going to manage it? There'd be probably a next part of that question would be like, who ran that culture, which is super important. But was there anything that really surprised you that came up?
It's a good question, that. I think something that knew was going to come up is that we want a team, you know, like that we weren't working together as a team. And there was a real desire, even though players unconsciously was acting like they wanted to go off, do other things and keep to themselves and stuff. There was a real desire for everyone to have a brotherhood, I guess it's to belong, what every human being wants to do. despite the actions, everyone had that desire that I just want to be a team here. Do you know what I mean? Everyone had it. And then I guess the stuff that comes from that is those actions, and yeah, I felt like we'd had a sort of way to operate given to us before, you know, which it doesn't work because no one's invested individually.
You've not created it.
You've not created it. You've not been through the process. And I always say the process is probably more important than the outcome. And then the actual process of keeping up to it and being accountable to it. But people spoke openly. People spoke honestly, you know, about stuff that people were thinking but not daring to say. So there were a few conversations, a few things that were said, which probably were uncomfortable for a lot of people. But it was getting down to the truth, you know, like, I love the quote, I can't remember who said it, it's in Body Keeps the Score, but the biggest source of suffering is the lies that we tell ourselves. So if we can burrow further and down into the truth and bore into the truth of what's going on, what we're all feeling, and it's a massive process to do that. Because when you step onto the field, you're a lot freer, and you're a lot more authentic, which is, whether we like it or not, that's how you're the happiest in the world. That's how you're the most confident. That's how you feel like you belong the most, because if you're authentic and it's accepted, when you're going onto a field and you know that you're all accepting each other, then you'll do everything not to accept the bloke running at you to try and get past you. Do you know? So that's what came from it, and there were those conversations that I guess here and there did surprise me. But we came up with brotherhood, respect and accountability. And after that, the management of it was everything revolved around it. You know, training, we'd mark ourselves on those things. And we'd understand the actions and behaviours that came from those trademarks that we'd all discussed. You know, like, what does it look like? What does it look like when we turn up for a massage and someone's late? What do we do then?
That's the other thing, that the accountability piece. So what's the not for a better word, punishment for it? Because I imagine you had resistance from some players. There's so many different in a professional setup. There's so many different agendas. So there's naturally going to be some sort of resistance at any sort of level. Did it define and make it easier to keep certain players or maybe move other players on? Did that actually happen, or did you just try to keep, whether they weren't towing the right line, did you try to bring them in? And
you try and bring them in, but then there's a marker set then. You know, there's a marker set. It's like, we all understand what we've just been through. We've all spoke about what it means. If you're not doing it, then you're best leaving. Do you know? Or you're not playing. You know, it's like that. It's sort of like that harsh reality, I guess. But it's all understood then. You know, people aren't thinking, what I'm doing is all right. You know, they're thinking, fuck yeah, I am slacking here. I'm not digging in. And then after every game, you know, we'd rate out of 10 how we performed on those that framework, and it holds you accountable. You know, it holds you accountable, and as you go in, you're practicing it, you're learning, you're discovering what it actually is to be that, and discovering and getting down to the actual process of what it is.
That's the harder bit, I think. The easy bit is finding it, like finding your values and having those discussions, and you come up with it. The difficult thing is when you've left the room of all that euphoria of like, wow, we're a new reinvented team, and we're awesome, and everyone's going to high five, brotherhood. Get to training, and then someone messes up and no one does anything. And that's the experiences I've had where there weren't those conversations being had. There wasn't repercussions for people, especially senior players, not living up to those standards. And that is the real important bit. I wish younger, whether it's schools or younger amateur teams, did that early on to definitely ingrain just general values in people, because you're a product of your environment, whether it's at home, in the teams, the schools you go to. But if your sports teams can start to, and they're so valuable to do this, instill those values in early on, then you are a step ahead of everyone else. You're a step ahead of the game, so that when you do go into, say, a professional setup that have those values, like, this is not a unique scenario for me. It's a fascinating area. Where did let's get on to Mantality. Where did that start for you? Was it during your career or straight after? Is that when you launched it?
So it was during, Mantality literally was during, back in that window when I'd had that conversation with the doc and spoke to that lady about magazine. So I was 22 when I started. I'm 27 now, so it's been for the last 5 years. I'm lucky to have it after I've retired with my brain flipping a little bit fucked up. But yeah, Mentality's been that sort of purpose that I've been moving more and more towards as I've gone. Even through rugby, it became my why to sort of show that you could speak about this stuff and still be tough. You could still be that player that you want to be. And Mentality's evolved now into, obviously got the podcast, we've got membership, we've got a counselling service, apparel. So it's come on, it's come on from its birth. But the thing that I'm really excited about is the membership, which is called Evolve, and I've been working, mate. I think not for the last a year and a bit, but probably since I launched it, to understand what it is to be fulfilled. Actually, I see a lot of men that are successful but they're not fulfilled, or they're driven but they're not driven towards what is going to make them fulfilled. And it's like, how do you resolve that and still be successful at the same time? That's the question that sort of has come with me, and I've put this framework together, this sort of pathway to evolve, which is going to be the backbone of the membership. I started off as being a mental health training regime, and would keep doing the gratitude, keep doing the meditation, have the accountability over that. But now we're putting a bit of a framework in that I'm really happy with and really proud of. And basically it's similar to the sort of journey that we've been talking about before, but basically it's to wake up, to realise that you need to do something different, basically, and to realise that you are a bit unsatisfied in life. And to focus on the motivation for what you want to find out, what you want to do, what you want to become. That's the sort of wake up stage. And rise up is to start doing the work, start building the habits, cultivating positive emotional states, meditating off the back of it, gratitude off the back of it, realising your values, bringing those values into the world through the actions that you do, the behaviours that you take out. And then it's to open up as well. It's to open up to life, open up to the experiences that you're scared of, open up to the experiences that you snigger at, or you think, nah, it's not for me, it's not going to teach me anything. It's to open up your mind, basically, because we're all living in life at the minute with, not at the minute, that's what we do, we live in life with these set patterns of thought, beliefs, go-tos, automatic sort of systems where it might be punishing ourselves, it might be putting ourselves down, it might be beating ourselves up. I used to beat myself up a lot, and I used to be so obsessive with the thought patterns, and it put me into loads of anxiety and loads of sort of friction with the world, and I almost wouldn't believe in myself. I'd question myself a lot, and I had to understand that. I had to get to grips of why I do it, when I do it, and what it looked like. So that's opening up to that, and then clear up stage is basically clearing that stuff up, clearing up stuff that you need to, clearing up stuff that might be in your past, clearing up those beliefs that you have that are sort of limiting, but also to your detriment too. And then it's to show up, mate, and it's just to be in alignment with purpose, in alignment with your values, serving the world in some way, shape or form. And that's my little template that people go on when they join Evolve.
You had spoken about the practice of meditation earlier on, that it's a non-negotiable for you. Was that something that you had been practicing into your professional career, or something that you've started to creep in over?
Yeah, before I used it as a medicine. So like,
okay,
when my mind was distracted, when I was a bit uneasy.
Genuinely when you were playing?
Yeah, when I was playing, yeah. And it started to become a routine over the last 2 years, basically. So I do it sort of all the time now. But back when I was playing, it was sort of something, all right, I need to meditate now. I'm getting a bit all over the shop, you know. Yeah.
And you're now at 20 minutes. Was it 20 minutes from the word go, or?
No, probably 10 minutes on and off. I remember the first time I meditated, I just couldn't believe it. It's like, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? I'm like, I've never thought about being in the present moment and just focusing on your breath and what that opens up and what that cuts through in life. So from that realization, it's like, I know there's something in this, but obviously playing, you're doing all the other stuff. And then since I've had my brain injury, I've been like, this thing's going to save my life. It's going to manage what I'm going through. It's going to manage the way that I manage what I'm going through. So it's a routine now.
Do you think it should be introduced earlier on for athletes at a young age?
Yeah.
In case they go through traumatic, well, not if, when.
Yeah.
They go through a traumatic experience. Because
100%.
I think every athlete, if they're not aware of it, especially at a professional level, they're heading towards a traumatic experience. Because even if you have a Cristiano Ronaldo type career, that will end.
100%.
And then that identity, that who you are, whether you get the big applause at the end or you're in a physio room on your own, having just I got injured and that was it. There was no crescendo.
Yeah.
That end is there, and it's going to impact you in some way, shape, or form, because no one's going to be screaming your name. No one's going to be asking for your autograph. Or Ronaldo may be different, but it's going to change at some stage. And do you think a practice like this needs to be introduced earlier so that they can have a stronger grasp on their mind? And
100%. It's a way of training yourself. It's a way of training itself. And going back to that point before, men in specific, not everyone, women as well, we're not trained to manage your thoughts. We're not trained to manage your mind. We're not trained to feel
see
content.
Your emotions as well.
Yeah, and sort of sit with them and work them out and take the energy out of them. It's like, we're just like, all right, go and do your best, mate. Do your best. Go make it and play rugby, and then work it out yourself. Mate, just like the difference of being able to go about your day and not hold so much weight on those thoughts being you and what you think and what you believe. And there's a difference being hostage to thoughts, pushed and pulled around by them, compared to being non-judgmentally aware of them. I still have weird thoughts. I still have thoughts. Yeah. You know, I still question myself, but I'm just aware of it. I'm not hostage to everything. I'm not hostage to the anger that I get sometimes when I'm in this position with my head. I'm not hostage to thinking, is it ever going to get better? I'm not hostage to, did this happen, did that happen in the past? Because it's like, there's no point. I'm just like past the point of caring. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm not taken up so much by it, and that's largely down to meditation. And then you do the meditation to set the environment for it, to stop the hijacking of thoughts and being hijacked by thoughts, and then to shape what you want to think, to shape how you look into the world, to shape that reticular activating system. You just practice gratitude. And it's like, it's a form of training, you know, like the practice of literally focusing on the present moment right now, whether that's your breath, whether that's what I'm saying right now. And then when your mind comes away from it, the practice of bringing it back is a real bicep curl for your mind. That's the practice of meditation. Do you know? Yeah. That's where it's at. And people sit down, they go, I can't meditate because my mind's going off. It's like, you can, because the practice of meditation is just bringing yourself back to what you were trying to focus on. And if you think about that as it overflows into life, how many times do we go around life and our negative mind kicks in? that chimp mind kicks in, and it's like you see a restaurant that you used to go with your ex-girlfriend, and then you're thinking about your ex-girlfriend, and then you're thinking about what's happened since that point, and then you're thinking about, I should have done this better, or I should have done that. This is what I am, this is who I am, and you go down this rabbit hole, and you've got no defense to it unless you meditate. Literally, that's the importance of meditation.
The awareness of that thought and understanding when it's arising, and that is it's almost something that with sport and athletes, you're given a script of all these processes you go through, like train hard, like be hard, whatever script that might be in sport. Each sport's slightly different, but there are generalizations of things that people go through, and you almost feel like, if I'm thinking that I am this person, or rather than, and I've done a podcast on it, Ted Lasso. I love Ted Lasso. Oh my god! But the phrase that the quote that he uses from Walt Whitman, "Be curious, not judgmental," is the best thing for meditation. I find being curious about why that's come up.
Like that.
Where's that thought come from? Just be curious, or even if the curiosity is, what is the next thought that's coming into my mind? So like you said, I saw a restaurant that I went to with my ex-girlfriend, and then the next thought that comes up of like, oh my god, I miss her, or whatever, I wish I could get her back, I wish I'd done this better. Why are those thoughts coming up? What does that mean about me? Be curious about every single thing. Always ask why, and it will take you to the place and the answer that you really need to hear, that you really need to hear. And then you have the choice. You have the choice as well. Like once you're aware of it, that thought, you have the choice of whether you run with it, or whether you stop, put a spanner in the spokes, and go, I'm going to go another way and choose something different.
I could go too far here, but I'll do it because I don't mind anymore. But the thing where you said, like, what's my next thought going to be? If I said to someone now, think of a film, right? Someone will have thought of Godzilla. Someone will have thought of, I don't know, Reservoir Dogs. Who's thinking that? Who's deciding those thoughts for you? It's like, you talk about free will and stuff, and we sort of go through life thinking we've got free will. I think there's probably an element of it, right? But we live in life with these thoughts that come into our head all the time, that's dictating how we feel, dictating what we do in the world, dictating how we see things. But it's not actually us. We have no governance on it. We are literally, if we don't do the work with meditation, with gratitude, we are literally a byproduct of whatever's going on in our brain. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't observe, and if you don't practice non-judgment, if you don't practice acceptance and compassion, if you don't look to train that reticular activating system to be grateful, then you're just leaving it to chance. Literally just leaving it to chance for whatever thought comes up in whatever situation in your life. You're just going, oh, I'm going to carry on with what I'm thinking, and you've got no understanding or governance about what you can actually do and whether you can not listen to that thought. Do you know? You're just in a cloud.
Those thoughts are that script that your environment, your upbringing, your experiences are all writing for you, and you're either choosing to just read that script or tear it up. And what you're saying is like, no, that's actually not me. I believe I've started to turn a corner, if not have turned that corner, where I'm really comfortable with if someone is telling me to it could be, oh, you're not married, you're this house, or you're not dog, kids. So that's your script. That's your script. And I'm comfortable saying to someone in a compassionate and empathetic way, like, that's not my journey right now. That's not where I'm at. This is where my mind is at. This is where I want to go. I hope that doesn't impact you. I really do. I really hope that doesn't take you down a path that makes you feel a certain way. But that's through understanding that everyone feels they need to run this script that they've got and live out way of thinking that's ingrained through those experiences. So you're
Yeah.
totally right. Meditation just opens it up.
Opens it up.
I'm excited for you for doing your Vipassana coming up.
Yeah.
What was your motivation of doing a Vipassana? So if people don't know what that is, it's a 10-day silent retreat, 10-day of pure silence, meditation, pretty much from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, maybe. It's a long old...
Yeah, so I applied for it 2 or 3 months ago and had to go through the process of application and tell them about my brain injury and stuff like that. And I remember seeing that there was a wake-up call at 4 a.m. 4 a.m., right? And a part of me thinking that's way too early anyway. I'm thinking my migraines are bad if I wake up too early or if I wake up too late. So I've always got to get up at the same time, about 7 a.m. So I'm like looking at this and I'm going, I don't know if I can do it. Anyway, I've spoke to someone on the phone the other day and they said, look, that's only optional. You can start at actually 8 a.m. So I'm going to go do it. I've confirmed myself I'm going to go do it next week. An element of it is to test myself, because this is a way that I can go and exercise those values that I've got. And an element is to just be quiet. It's probably going to be very painful. And it's going to be hard, and there's a chance I could lose my mind. But just to be quiet and just to have no distractions. And I think my brain is screaming out for that.
The people, I'm excited to hear your experience of it, because the people I've met and known have gone and done them. I think it's by about the 3rd or 4th day, the room halves. And then it's physically challenging. I think that... So my experience of going through yoga, and even where I'm at now with my physicality, is like my hips are ruined from bowling and trying to undo that tightness. Yeah. The simple ability to sit in a posture that is not lying down, that is an upright seated posture. Meditation, by about the 20th minute, it starts to become fire. And that has now started to change as I've used yoga to open up my body, because that's what it was designed for. But that's Vipassana has that, like that's the experience of it though. Yeah. It's really interesting speaking to people that have done it, and I really want to go do it and find that space to do it, and probably that right time, that right calling. But the physical challenge is there as well.
100%. I'm gonna have to sit on a chair. I can't. My knees have got no cartilage on it, so every time I cross my legs and try to do it, they're just screaming out. But the mate, the physical challenge of it is going to be, I think, like the first day or whatever is literally just focusing on the breath coming in and out of your nose. And you're not speaking to people, you're not eye contact with people, no eye contact. So it's going to be strange, mate.
It's almost going to be like you won't know anyone else in the room.
Exactly, yeah.
You're never going to meet them.
I know.
You're never going to get to converse with them.
And you hear so many stories about people that have been that, like, they end up, as we do as humans, we create narratives about people, your mind just goes off and it starts doing it for yourself, and it's like on different people it's making these narratives, and they come to the end of it, they talk to them, they're like, oh my god, I'm a completely different person to think
your accent.
Oh my god, you're completely different to who I thought you would be. So that's going to be strange. I'm actually going down on a minibus from Leeds actually with a group of them, so I actually think that I'm going to end up speaking to people. I'm not going to get on minibus and be silent. I don't care if that's a rule or not. I'm going to speak to people and understand why they're coming and what they're doing, just so when I go into it I know some of them, I know a little bit what's going on.
No, that'd be, I'm jealous of you going and do that, but for sure
I think by 3rd or 4th day that is like notoriously known to be like the make or break.
People apparently break down crying. It's
people have like
it's intense
stuff, mate, like psychotic episodes and stuff like that.
But you're right, it's the narrative that just you could run away with. And whether it just depends on your background, what you're unearthing. And even in my yoga teacher training, like that experience of going to Hawaii and doing that, and that by about the 2nd day people were breaking down with real stuff coming up. And you thought, am I learning something? Am I training?
Are you doing it right?
But it also, is this a therapy session? What's going on? It's and at that time I was my real egotistical self as like this English cricketer that was come out there. Everyone's American and
fixed.
Yeah, and I had never really had an experience like that, and I took myself to the real spiritual end of going onto the Big Island, and it's a beautiful place, like the culture and that whole vibe that's out there. But you just, when you're in that sphere of people that are almost doing the same work as you feel it, and then you're finding your way in the dark with your flashlight, trying to figure out what it is that you're looking for. I'm excited for you doing that, mate. It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Look, I've realised how long we've been going. I had a couple more things I wanted to talk to you about, which was, if all of the stuff that you've gone through right now, everything you learn, you practice, you teach, what would be the advice you would give to your younger self now?
Okay. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Yeah. Just enjoy it. Look after yourself. Yeah. I don't think there's any poignant message. I'd just say good luck, son. All the best. Yeah. Just, I mean, prepare to go through the fear, I think, and what waits on the other side is worth it. Yeah.
Now, we all have an inner critic, and the one we listen to a lot.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with it, what does your inner critic say to you the most?
He's all right at the minute. He's all right.
I'm feeding him well.
I've got him in the loft and feeding him, and he comes out every now and then. What does he say?
Or what did he say?
What did he say? I don't know if it was good enough. I think it was. You're doing everything you can.
Are you?
Yeah, that would be the. I think that's been the thing for me, to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can. Do you know, like almost like in my own mind, my own perspective, to be covering everything that I can, all bases, in terms of being successful, in terms of being tough, in terms of exceeding my expectations, meeting my expectations. You know, that's what I think drives me still. You know, like it's just happens. I can't stop doing podcasts. Yeah. I can't go and lie down for you know, I go through the migraines, and it's a constant. This last year has been right. You've got to take defeat sometimes. Yeah. Do you know? Like, I'd never want to take defeat, which helps in a lot of ways, but also, you know, when you've got to lie down for a day because your head's bad, you know, you just. So it's the meeting of all the doing that I've done, and now it's, you know, this Vipassana. It's the approach to just being.
I think you've got that definite curiosity to keep going deeper into something, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got that, where's this going to take me? Whether it's in your early childhood of sport, and I want to keep going deep. Now you're in this space, and it is a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It is a huge rabbit hole that you can go down, and
it's like I don't think I'm looking for an answer. Do you know what I mean? I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just experiencing. Just want to experience it, and I'm hoping that it's going to solve my brain. It's going to fix my brain. Yeah. Do you know?
What's the sort of prognosis really for you? What's the future looking like with your injury?
So persistent post-concussion syndrome is, I think, when you've had it over, I don't know if it's a year. I think it might be over a year. And I'm trying different medication for my migraines. Just trying this monthly injection, which doesn't seem to be working.
Was that was what you posted this morning?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's you try 3 months worth of that, and if it's not working, you try something else. So I've tried beta blockers, I've tried Botox. I'm trying that. So yeah, that's the journey I'm on at the minute, to try and stop the migraines, but also try and get my inner ear working again, basically. Just trying to find the right space and time to be able to do it. So when I'm down at the meditation retreat, when I'm not meditating, I'll be shaking my head around like a madman to try and get me inner ear working. I'll be doing all those exercises, those drills, and it's going to be a good time. And then I'm off traveling.
Right. Where are you going?
Yeah, starting in Mexico and then going to go do Central South America.
Wow.
6 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So I'm excited for that.
Is that something you've done before?
I've travelled quite a bit now. I've never been Central South America.
No, yeah.
I've done Asia and US and a lot of Europe and stuff. But this is, I'm going with my my partner. She's having a year off dance. She's a contemporary dancer.
Wow.
So she's taking a year off, doing a sabbatical, and we're just gonna go over there and just give time to see if my brain just calmly comes back.
Yeah. Oh, mate, that's going to be unbelievable. Now, I ask this question to most guests, which is if there's a book, documentary, person that you recommend the most, what one is that? That's impacted your life?
Yeah, Man's Search for Meaning, I think.
Yes.
Victor Frankl.
Yeah.
I think that probably like the one that really sort of bolstered a lot of my beliefs and way to get through tough times. I think that was like one big eye opener.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'll stick with that.
Is there a quote or a mantra that you try to live by?
If you cannot change the situation, you have to change yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, I've had to do that. I tried to do it so much with all the injuries I've had. Initially, I was trying to change so that I won't get injured anymore.
Yeah.
But in the end, I changed so that I could cope with injuries.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Stevie, look, this has been an incredible conversation. The sport needs more people thinking and doing more like you.
Thank you.
And I hope we meet again and maybe collaborate in some way, shape, or form in the future, because I think what you're doing is so good. And in a sport like rugby that has its trials with injuries like yours, but also I think just being a hardened man's sport, and even being up north as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Leeds Rhinos, it's the thick-skinned rhino.
Yeah.
Is that sort of world that you've opened up. Getting that in early for those young players. I think the sport doesn't necessarily have to change. Sport doesn't have to change because of this stuff. It just makes the human beings better.
Yeah.
And I thank you for your time today. For people to find you, where's the best place to reach out and find you?
Just find me on my Instagram or Twitter name that I made when I was 16, Stevie_Ward, or you can find me on Mantality. Just type Mantality into Twitter, Instagram, or
links
whatever.
will be in the show notes and everything. But mate, I appreciate it. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we finish? Wrap up?
No, just dive into the story, dive into Mantality, and maybe I'll see you on Evolve one day.
Amazing. Thank you so much, mate.
Thank you, sir.